When I wrote and thought about this introduction, I started out with 3 pages. I don't have 3 pages any longer, but that gives you an idea of just how amazing and important the leadership of Senator Ed Markey is. You know that, I know that. You just can't imagine the recent successes in climate legislation without him. His leadership has been long and unwavering. He's a national leader on energy, environmental protection, climate policy, has a prolific legislative record on protecting our planet. He's the Senate co-author of the Green New Deal resolution with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a 10-year mobilization to transform our economy and democracy, all the while addressing climate change and creating millions of new jobs. He's the House author of the 2007 Fuel Economy Law, one of the most impactful global warming reduction policies in our history. When we think about the carbon emissions starting to edge down, we can look and see that's something that Democrats did. That's something that we've done. Our leaders are making it happen, and we are making it happen. He's the author of the Appliance Efficiency Act of 1987, stopped the construction of hundreds of coal-fired plants. Yes. Last year, he secured $20 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act to create a national climate bank, something I know will resonate in this room where some of you are working on green banks and know how important it is to get the money where it's needed to make the changes necessary. This spring, I had the privilege of being with him and President Biden on Earth Day for the launch of the American Climate Corps. And really, obviously I started with 3 pages. I'm not exaggerating. This feels inadequate, the scope and scale of what he's done and his contributions, to the legislation and also to changing the national conversation around climate change and around environmental justice are historic and invaluable. So let's give him big applause. So glad that he's here. You can tell I'm a fan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for your incredible leadership. And this is just a wonderful moment of optimism, of urgency for all of us to be together who care about climate. Move over solar, move over wind, because this gathering today is the greatest renewable energy, renewable political resource we have in the country in 2024, because this gathering is going to mobilize to save our planet. So we thank all of you. We thank you, Michelle, for your amazing movement work over many, many years. We thank you for everything that you do. And to all of the distinguished speakers who have gathered here today, a Mount Rushmore of climate leaders in our country, we can't thank all of you enough, or as Donald Trump would call all of the speakers, a clear and present danger to the oil, gas, and coal industry. Okay? Another way of describing this gathering here today. Senator Mark Pacheco, my good friend, the leader up in the Massachusetts State Legislature on these issues, and to all of you who are gathered here, because Trump does know that while climate change is an existential threat to our planet, all of the climate and clean energy laws that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have put on the books are an existential threat to the future of the fossil fuel industry in the United States and across our planet. And we know that Vice President Kamala Harris is a climate champion. Together, she and I launched, as Michelle said, the National Climate Bank to invest $27 billion that's going to unleash $120 billion worth of private sector investment targeted towards vulnerable communities in our country. Half of the funding has to go to Black and brown and disadvantaged communities. We have to be intentional. We have to say what the problem is that historically has gone unremediated. And that's what the Climate Bank legislation said. And the same thing is true for the American Climate Corps. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and I introduced the Civilian Climate Corps in 2021, and we could not get it into the IRA, But President Biden called us in April and said, come with me down to Virginia to a civilian conservation corps facility from the 1930s, and I'm going to announce with you and Alexandria on either side of me, the American Climate Corps of 20,000 young people will be able to go out into their communities to be able to work to remediate the historic injustice. And just to give you an idea of the size, the Peace Corps is 8,000 young people. The Climate Corps, 20,000, half of whom have to be black and brown and from the affected, disadvantaged communities in our country. We have to be intentional. We have to be specific. We have to know what it is that is the problem. And what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done is to make sure that the IRA is pointing these clean energy jobs towards union jobs, high-paying union jobs. And do you know who prosecuted and collected billions of dollars from oil companies and from corporate polluters as Attorney General? Kamala Harris. Do you know who secured $20 billion for homeowners during the foreclosure crisis? Kamala Harris. And do you know who cast the tie-breaking vote 2 years ago to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, otherwise known as the biggest climate bill ever passed in the history of the world? Kamala Harris. She broke the tie. And while she was helping to grow our clean energy economy, to stand up for jobs and justice, she's taken on the Billionaire Boys Club, which is the Heritage Foundation, which is all those billionaires who are going to give $1 billion to Donald Trump to take all of the wind and solar and all electric vehicle and battery storage technology subsidies off the books. And you know what our message to them is? We know you're not going to stop trying. We're not going to stop trying. We're going to go into this election because we know that Donald Trump wants to make America great again by making America hate again. And we know if he gets elected, clean energy investments, clean water, clean air protections are gone. The Paris Climate Agreement, gone. Tax breaks for wind and solar, all electric vehicles, gone. Under Trump and Republicans, the IRA is DOA. So we have a choice. Are we going to fight? Are we going to stand up? Are we going to stand by Kamala? Are we going to make sure that she becomes the greatest climate president in the history of our country? Let's go, stand and fight. Let's get this done for our country and for the planet. You are the leaders. This is the time. This is the place. We must get this done. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. You're great.
There you go.